It is 12 noon. Welcome back. We are live at Social Taco in Homewood. Come on by and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Great first half of the show. A lot of conversation about Lane Kiffin's comments to Vanity Fair magazine. His, I guess you can call it an apology to On3, national college football writer, late last night. Talked about that. Also, Mike Griffith from the AJC joined us. Also, Eli Hoff joined us from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch last hour, giving us an update on the health of Ahmad Hardy. But we're going to continue our conversation about Lane Kiffin, great friend of the program, Evie Van Pelt of the Rebel Walk. She just exudes class all the way around, and
She
she
sure
joins
does.
us now on Three-Man Front. Evie, I hope you're well.
Well, that was quite an introduction. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you are. I mean, and, you know, what a better way than to talk about this cesspool of comments from Lane Kiffin than to have someone of class like yourself on to kind of help class up this conversation. Just your overall feelings, Evie, when the story came out and you saw that one particular quote that's got us all talking about.
I tell you what, I think my very first thought was, wow, even for Lane, that seems kind of low, and I was really surprised that he went there. Frankly, I really was. And it just, when you look at it, Lane was at Ole Miss for 6 years. I covered every word that man ever said in terms of the local Ole Miss media. We've had many interviews with Walker Jones, the Grove Collective director. Never once did any of those concerns that Lane mentioned in the Vanity Fair article come up. Not one time. So I find that interesting that now all of a sudden, it's a big concern. And I think it's just let's be honest. I mean, it's timing. We've got official visits going on. We've got summer camps coming up. There's a big pull between Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi for some of the top recruits out there, and I think Lane's just trying to get an edge. I just think it was kind of a lousy way to do it.
Yeah, I agree totally, Evie. And Lane, I think that, and you could speak to this better than some, but I've got a friend, I was telling Pat, that he's an attorney over in the state of Mississippi, went to Ole Miss. He loves Ole Miss, but he said, he never looked to Lane Kiffin as a moral compass, and he was bewildered by the comments, though, yesterday. For those type of Ole Miss fans that weren't completely there on the edge of, he is dead to me, I can't stand Lane Kiffin, what did those comments do maybe to that last portion that were still kind of indifferent to the whole thing?
Well, I tell you what, I think he, from a lot of the Ole Miss fans and a lot of the people I talk to, Ole Miss fans are still in Oxford. They're not all ones who've moved away. I think it was hurtful because I think they embraced Lane. They embraced the football team. They always have. But they embraced Lane, his mother, his father, who are now deceased, his family, his kids, his brother. I mean, I just think that, you just go back and you listen to the things that Lane said, as recently as a year ago about Ole Miss, or you watch his, the many lives of Lane Kiffin or whatever, and I believe that's more the true picture of Oxford and Ole Miss. And I just think it's hurt. His comments have hurt a lot of people.
Evie Van Pelt joins us from the Rebel Walk as we're discussing Lane Kiffin's comments in Vanity Fair magazine. Evie, you've been around that university for a long time, and the university has done a lot over the course of the last 30 to 40 years regarding their symbols, traditions, messaging. You just mentioned it when you first came on. You've talked to a lot of people that handles a lot of the recruiting and the NIL fundraising aspect to Ole Miss. How much that he brought up in regards to those so-called old issues in history that obviously you're trying to get over as a university, do you believe that has come into play at all over the course of the last 5-10 years at Ole Miss?
Well, I look at it, and you're right. I mean, my daughter graduated from Ole Miss a good while ago. I'm not going to age myself, but a good while ago. And I don't know. I mean, the the university, yes, there's always going to be that history there of racial issues, like there are at a lot of schools in the Southeast, frankly. And the state did away with, having, part of the Confederate flag in the state flag. They've gotten rid of the Colonel Red mascot. You can't sing Dixie. You can't. I mean, they have made not that those are obviously in any way erase any of the issues from the past, but I think that it's a different Ole Miss and a different Oxford nowadays, and I just think it's really hard to paint the school with the brush from those days. I really just think that that's hard because they have made a lot of changes, and I just still feel like shame on Lane for for going there because I just really don't think it's appropriate. And I will tell you, he mentioned talking with recruits, and they say their grandmother doesn't want them to go. Well, I talked to a lot of recruits, and we're pretty good friends with Jared Ivey, his mother, Tracy Ivey, and she told me after Lane left, she said, "You want to know how many conversations we ever had with Lane Kiffin?" She said one in 3 years, and that was on Jared's recruiting visit. And Jared was a top kid they really, really wanted. So I don't know that Lane's really out there talking to that many of them, but I've interviewed for 14 years now, parents, grandparents, and I've never had one single one list that as a concern.
You
So
mentioned
doesn't
it
mean it's
being
not, but I just haven't heard it. Yeah.
right. And you mentioned there's official visits going on, and this is calculating in the world of recruiting, especially with those coaching staffs and the proximity and so intimately knowing each other. But do you expect – I'm not saying there should be. I'm not saying, Evie, that there needs to be. But now with those comments out there, perception by some, and it might be new perception about Ole Miss and football, do you expect Keith Carter, anybody from the administration there at Ole Miss, to put out a statement of some kind of response? What do you see in terms of that?
I really don't. Now earlier today, Keith did post something, and it was just a quick little. What it said is, quote, "Kind of amazing how uncomfortable our success is making some people." Hashtag
okay.
Rebel
That's
Nation.
good.
And yeah,
That's good.
and that's all he said. And I don't think you're going to see any of them really come out. Now I think there have been tweets made from some of the assistant coaches and from a whole lot of Ole Miss fans, but I think probably the Ole Miss administration, their position is let's don't give any more oxygen to that. And frankly, I think if you're a former coach and you tend to be a little on the narcissistic side, that attention is what you want. And so probably the best way to handle it is to just not give it any oxygen. And y'all know, Pete Golding has been, there've been people that have interviewed him and tried to kind of get him to say something, and Pete's absolutely not going to say anything.
So I have to ask you,
smart.
with this so-called apology to On 3, in which Lane, she starts laughing, right on cue, where he basically says, "I really apologize if anybody at Ole Miss or Mississippi was offended by that." I mean, how do you think that's playing this afternoon in North Mississippi?
It's playing about like my laughter there. I mean, I think that Lane knew what he was doing, and it's just. I think, honestly, I feel like the narrative out there after he made those comments was perhaps not what he thought. I mean, I think there were a lot of folks who came down on him for making those comments, not Ole Miss people necessarily, but national media folks. And I just think that maybe he was a little bit surprised that everybody didn't just rush to the Lane Kiffin side of, that awful Ole Miss.
Is Lane Kiffin, would you label him a narcissist, a sociopath, socially inept, or a combination of all three?
I think kind of a combination of all three. And I'm saying that just from my own experiences covering him.
Sure.
I really think a little bit, yeah. And so I've seen all that. I feel like Lane is kind of socially awkward, if you want to call it that, when you're in a gathering with him. But I think he absolutely knew what he was doing with the Vanity Fair author. It was supposed to be a 45-minute interview that turned into 4 hours, and I will tell you, it's hard to pin Lane down for 4 hours. I'm very surprised at that. I think he had his reasons for it, and I just think he hurt a lot of good people with that. And I'm just, I find his apology disingenuous. I'll just say that.
So I'm curious, when you were writing out tuition checks to Ole Miss for your daughter, did you notice during one semester that she was taking basket weaving? Did that ever bother you and your husband when you were writing those checks?
And how did she do in the class?
Yes, did she make an A?
Well, I will tell you that it's funny that you say that, because when I was at A&M, I took fishing. And it wasn't fishing where you go out and go to a lake even. It was fishing in a parking lot. You you try to cast into a bucket.
We had the swimming pool. They used the natatorium with the swimming pool, and they put hula hoops in the pool that were floating, and you had to land your lure in the hoop.
Well, there was not a lot of water around College Station, though, was there?
That's true. I forgot.
No. I did see. Did y'all see a little while ago that John Summerall's tweet? Great for the coach at a top 10 public university that also
that was gold. That was so great.
Now, for me, I got lucky because, one, my daughter played volleyball, so I didn't have to cut checks the first degree. But then she got a second degree, and then she got her doctorate in pharmacy. So we were having to write some checks in. Ooh. But so there was no basket weaving in the pharmacy or biology.
Well, I mean, according to Steve Sarkisian, I don't even know if your daughter really has a doctorate in pharmacology, based on what Steve Sarkisian
said. If you listen to Steve, yeah. I mean, and it's just, I'm sure there are very, very smart athletes on the University of Texas football team, but I don't believe they're all taking aeronautical engineering or whatever.
Come on, Evie. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Come on, Evie.
It is.
It's Texas. They're all astronauts.
And I mean, now Sark got his degree in sociology, so he's, I guess he's looking down his nose at some of the rest of us.
You were about to go BYU, weren't you?
No, I was not.
Yeah?
I was not. No, somebody texted in and said, ask Steve Sarkisian.
You wanted to go BYU.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Just admit it.
Well, I think, didn't he, I'm not sure, but didn't he go to also El Camino College or something in addition before he went there, maybe? So I don't know. Might have been.
It was an unfair shot, but it was funny that.
Yes, you were right. He went to El Camino. Is that the car? Did they build cars there?
Yeah.
Is that what they did at the junior college?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the car with the. It was the car with the.
It was like a truck, but it was a car.
It was a truck, but it was a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
the El Camino.
Party in the front and business in the back.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Like a bed of a truck in the back.
That's exactly what it was.
You put a pond liner in there. You fill that thing up with water.
Yes. Yes.
Or ice. For
ice.
Kind of refreshing beverages.
Yes. Yeah, he was at El Camino in 1993 through 1994, and then he transferred to BYU with all his girlfriends from 1995 through 1996.
Yes, and he got an associate degree in general studies from El Camino. So I think he disparages the general studies and the multidisciplinary studies, and so hence, I guess, his degree in sociology. So I just find this all fascinating. I'm like, when did it turn into Hammer Ole Miss week? But I guess it's been something else.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be neat in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, Evie, at SEC spring meetings in Destin, Florida. You'll have Pete Golding in the room with Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin.
I mean, I just think that's going to be interesting. And the funny thing is, if Pete is such a, y'all know, Pete is a real guy. I'm excited. We had an interview we posted of him with him last week, and I think we're the only local media outlet that has had a sit down with him. And I'm telling you, he tells you what he thinks, and he's able to laugh off stuff. And I like that about him, because I think if Lane were the current head coach at Ole Miss right now, and this were being blasted on his program, I don't think he would handle it very well.
Well, I tell you, I know this as a radio talk show host in the Southeastern Conference footprint. This has been an outstanding last 24 hours, and it's just gonna ramp up even more for your website, the Rebel Walk, and everyone else that covers the Ole Miss Rebels, because not only SEC meetings in Destin later this summer in Tampa, it will be obviously the media days, and then lo and behold, September 19th is going to be quite an epicenter of the world in college football on that famous day.
I think y'all need to come broadcast from there. I think it'd be.
I don't know if I feel safe.
I mean, I feel safe. All my kinfolk are over there. I feel good. We'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
We'll be
but
good.
yeah, it's going to be something else.
We just tell everyone we know Evie and Brett, and we're good.
Hey,
no problem.
You're good. If you know, yeah, exactly. If you know Brett and I, you'll be fine. But seriously though, I just really, I'm sad that he went there and did that. I just think it's kind of a low blow. And again, especially given the fact that he is at a university that is not the bastion of, civil rights or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no,
And
you're
I'm sure
absolutely
y'all-
right, Evie. I mean, that's the other thing that we brought up yesterday once this story started breaking. There's not a school in this conference that doesn't have a history or a past that they would love to expunge from the record, because they're not very pleased at things that have happened in the past. And the only thing you can do is move forward and try to better your university and the place that you live, so you don't repeat those things in history that you're ashamed of. And it's just do a quick Google search on how LSU got its nickname, the Tigers.
The Tigers. They were a very brutal battalion of soldiers in.
Yeah, and they weren't marching
Civil
for old
War
Honest
stuff.
Abe, were they, Evie?
No, they weren't. And so I just, it's kind of like with Lane. I just think
Just a
as
lack of
y'all
couth.
know, it is, and he thrives on attention. He's like a little child pulling at his parents' shirt tail. And I just think he loves the spotlight on himself. And like we've said, a little kid who negative attention is better than no attention. And so
Well, he's
I
been in
think
the spotlight his
always-
entire career.
Yeah, I know. And I think if he's not, it's almost like I told somebody earlier today, I feel like Lane is kind of a pyromaniac with words.
Yeah,
he lights
that's
the
good.
match and watches it burn and smiles and enjoys it.
No,
And,
I like that. I like that. And Evie, listen, you covered every single day that he was the head coach at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss and Oxford was such a horrible place that Lane Kiffin moved his entire family to Oxford, Mississippi, enrolled his daughter at the University of Mississippi. She got in a sorority at Mississippi, and then also enrolled his son in the high school in Oxford and played football. So it was just a horrible place that all these people had to come and pay property tax there. It's just awful. It's terrible.
It is. And, it's interesting that his son came and enrolled in public Oxford High School and is now in a private high school in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Well,
And so
they can afford it now,
yeah.
Evie. I don't know if you saw his contract, Evie, but he can afford it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he could have afforded it in Oxford too, but I just, absolutely. And his parents absolutely adored Ole Miss, and I met both his parents, and I think they would. I'm just glad they're not seeing this, because I think his comments hurt a lot of people.
Before we let you go, do we have a juice update?
Juice is, I've got pictures of Juice recently, and Juice is still loving life and
Good.
living. Yeah, Juice is doing great. I do keep up
Fantastic.
with that, because like a lot of Rebels, I'm pretty invested in Juice and how he's doing.
Is he
But so
siring
far,
any puppies?
I don't know that he has yet, but that's a good question. I will ask and find out, and next time you have me on, I will have the answer for that.
If he does, I want one of Juice's youngins.
Okay. Okay, I can hook you up. I think I like I say, my good friend runs Wild Rose Kennels, and he could definitely handle that. I would love to have a juice puppy too.
Yeah, that would be great. Evie, always a pleasure. Sorry it's under these circumstances to come
Yeah,
on and
I
talk
hate to
about
visit
this
with this, Evie.
this ugly topic, but we always
Well,
appreciate
that's
you coming
okay.
on.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and again, yeah, if he keeps making comments, keep having me on.
We'll have you on regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
We
okay.
don't need him to open his
We
mouth
don't
and
need
stick his
Lane.
foot in it. Yeah, we'll just have you on anyway. No problem.
Hey, where can I
Oh,
buy a
thank
basket from
you.
your daughter who makes the baskets and sells them online?
Yeah, email me and we'll figure it out. She's got a lot of talent. Ole Miss taught her very well, and I don't know how she managed to pass the pharmacy national exam and work as a pharmacist
I
with
mean,
all the basket weaving she did.
yeah.
I think she was taking night classes at the University of Texas. I think that's what she was doing.
Maybe
She
that's
was,
funny. Yeah, I just again I feel like let's don't disparage the kids who are there getting a degree. If they want to
right?
get a degree in whatever, I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
that's the other
I just
side of this is those comments and how irresponsible they are. So then are you indicting the kids that did agree and their families that did agree to go and play? Just the whole thing.
see.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing, and isn't it interesting that okay, this is a funny little aside, but so the writer that interviewed Trinidad Chambliss, in his Vanity Fair article that came out a couple of weeks ago, is an African American journalist. And between the African American journalist and the African American quarterback, isn't it interesting? There was nothing about,
the
about
segregation and
Oxford or
the
race.
yeah,
Yes, not a thing.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
Evie, have a good rest of your spring, and before you know it, we will be actually talking X's and O's instead of all this other stuff. But we always appreciate
yes.
your time. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a
Thanks,
great
Evie.
week.
Thank you
too.
so much. Evie joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. When we come back, we will kind of unpack what Evie had to say, kind of give you an update of what's going on this situation. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. It is 12:26 here on Jocks, and man, this situation with Lane Kiffin continues to be an interesting topic. And on occasion, we get an opportunity to catch up with someone that I've known for a very long time. And he remembered me when I was just a little pup in this business back in the day. I'm talking about Legend. Joins us here on site. He was up here enjoying lunch, and he joins us here on Three Man Front. Legend, how are you?
I'm doing good, Pat. How about you, my friend?
It's great to see you. You and I, we've been on many trips together around this great state of Alabama, as we were we were the sideshow with the Paul Feinbaum show for many years. It was me and you.
Yeah, we were like the guys following the Beatles or the Rolling Stones around, wherever Paul would go, we would follow him, so.
Well, I'm just curious, this Lane Kiffin situation, just your thoughts on Lane Kiffin, the former offensive coordinator at Alabama, his comments in Vanity Fair magazine yesterday, kind of taking shots at his old school.
Well, I noticed he had a birthday on Saturday, I believe it was, and I would just like to say to Lane, happy 13th birthday, and it's always good and dangerous when you become a teenager, You never know what you might say or what you might do in them years. It's really a developmental process when you become a teenager. And happy 13th birthday to Lane Kiffin on Saturday, And I thought it was disgraceful. I've been to Oxford. I've been to Baton Rouge. I felt a lot more safer in Oxford than I did in Baton Rouge. And I just thought it was a disgraceful comment and something that he didn't need to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that we've been talking a lot about is, nobody, because of the way it is nowadays in college football, nobody has a problem with trying to better yourself and making a lot more money. But then you're already there. You don't have to say what you did because you had 6 years there to change the narrative that he is now complaining about.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, he just had to look back and take one more shot at Ole Miss. And if people thought that way, it's really a crippling to Pete Golden and his future recruiting process. But thank God people don't think like Lane Kiffin in 2026.
Yeah, that is. There's no doubt about that. Before we let you go, we're about to run to our next break. But I am curious. I've heard you on Paul's show, and you've had some interesting comments about the Kalen DeBoer contract extension. You still feel like maybe Greg Burns should have waited a little while on that one?
Well, I feel like he should, but, my aunt last week said, Legend, you are a negative Nancy, and I am disgraced with you. You all you do is talk negative, Legend. Talk positive every once in a while. So, Pat, let me tell you what's good about this Alabama team.
Please do.
They are recruiting on a Saban level. My problem has always been, can you keep the players you're recruiting? Because if you can't keep the players you're recruiting, then your process is backwards and it's never going to succeed. But if they can keep the Elijah Havens, the Ezekiel Crowells, the four-star linebacker that came in this week, if you can keep them 2 or 3 years, then this Alabama team suddenly takes on a different look in 2 or 3 years down the line. So it all depends on if they can retain them. If they can retain them, Greg Byrne is an expert. If he can't, they're headed for disaster.
You know how you do it, Legend?
How you do it?
Basket weaving.
Only Landrum could come up with basket weaving. I got to hear this.
No, it's basket weaving. So you haven't heard Sark's comments this morning.
Steve Sarkisian said that basically a degree at Ole Miss is worthless because they'll give you a degree if you take basket weaving.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so his running buddy, Lane Kiffin,
surprise you?
He's come to his aid.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Sark and Kiffin.
How about
the boys?
And see, Shark's another one. I feel like he's an overrated coach. Everybody says he's a great coach, but what is it, like year 7 at Texas? And they didn't even have a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. How are you at Texas 6 years and you don't have a first-round draft pick? I find that amazing.
When's he going to beat Georgia?
Really, it's all this Texas hype has really been it's been a tease. It's really been a tease. That's what it's been.
Yeah.
It has been.
How about your Orioles? What's going on with
God, man. Don't make me jump off the balcony. Somehow we beat the Yankees last night. I don't know how we beat the Yankees last night, but somehow we managed to do it.
Yeah, the Yankees are in a downfall.
I heard last night the Yankees are 1-9 against teams with a winning record this season.
How about that?
And their fans don't care. See, Alabama and the Yankees have a lot in common when it comes to their fan bases. Playoffs ain't good enough for the Yankees, and playoffs ain't good enough for Alabama. There's a lot of Alabama fans out there talking, well, we can just make the playoffs. The heck with that. What happened to the old, we don't win the ring, it ain't nothing, What happened to them days, So
the Yankees are SMU college football playoff a couple of years ago.
Sure.
They're getting in with the wins against the Sisters of the Poor.
Yeah. Well, it was like Legend said. They haven't gotten a 1-9 against
winning teams in the MLB this season, 1-9, and their fans recognize it, and they're mad, even though they're like the second best record in the AL behind the Rays, and who knows how the Rays are doing it.
Yeah.
Somebody could explain that to me and explain it to Mike Elias with the Orioles how they actually do that. But hey. Like the man said last night, I heard Michael Kay say on the Ryan Ripken's show last night, he said the Yankees could win 95 games in the American League. 80% of the American League is garbage.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah, and they could make the playoffs and then get swept by the Dodgers, or make the series and get blown out by the Dodgers,
Or the Braves.
And the Yankee fans are saying that's not good enough. And I agree.
We got room on the wagon, Legend. Come over to the National League. Braves, come on. It's a short drive over. We got the scripted A. It's a different A, but you can adapt.
Well, I'll tell you a funny, quick story about the Braves. Me and Kiffin went to Sarasota to spring training. The Orioles gift shop was one floor. They didn't even have double X or triple X. I'm a big old boy, you know what I'm saying? I'm a big old guy. We went to the Braves facility in Venice, Florida. Their gift store was 3 stories, had everything imaginable, 3X, 4X, 5X. It didn't matter, man. The Braves. So this is the only hat I've had on the Orioles gift shop that I even liked.
And, of course, it's red.
Yeah, and everybody said, what is that, an Auburn hat you got on there? No, come on, man. That's the Orioles, I know y'all don't know nothing about baseball down here, really, but, that's the Orioles, brother, so.
Legend, great to see you. Of course, you and Kip Kiefer, you can hear it weekends, 8
to 10.
That's right.
Game time every Saturday morning.
Yep, so always good to see you.
I had a little joke about Landrum this week.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, somebody said, Landrum's birthday was this week. I said, oh, that's right. He turned 62 this week.
I did.
Just kidding, man.
No, 62. Some days that's feeling really good.
What, about 41?
No, come on, Legend.
38?
No, 47.
Oh, man. Well, he's looking good.
Thank you.
He looks great. It's fantastic. I always text Paul when you're on with him.
Well, I love Paul. I love Paul. That's, he really created me in a laboratory. I'm just the alter ego of Paul Feinbaum.
AI. You're AI.
I'm AI, Paul Feinbaum's alter ego. People just don't realize it.
All right, that is a Legend. Always good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You.
More Three-Man Front from Social Taco.
Three-man front as we continue live here from Social Taco in Homewood. The text line, we will get back to your text momentarily. 205-834-9450 gives me time to tell you about our friends at The Garage. Local owners here from the area. They live in the community, and they've been in business for years. Bob is one of those owners. He's constantly giving back to the community. He sponsors local schools, churches, charities. But the reviews, that's why I start with just the people that they are. It's first and foremost, it's Bob, but it's a leadership. But it's great people like Robert and Richie that are friendly faces, there to help in any way that they can when you walk into that clean, professional lobby. At The Garage, they can handle anything from, heaven forbid, if you ever needed an engine replacement, but let's not start there. Let's go brakes, oil changes. They offer tires if you need a serpentine belt. Timing belt, all that good stuff. If you're just hearing a noise, take it into The Garage. People from all over the state still bring their automobiles into The Garage to be serviced because they've been taking care of folks like that for years. Do what the Roberts do. Take your family's automobiles to The Garage. Check out the $40 off AC check coupon right now. They got the newest diagnostic machines to handle even the newest refrigerants. TheGarageInPelham.com. That's the website. Check them out and always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
So just kind of getting everyone up to date on what has taken place today in regards to those infamous Lane Kiffin comments there in Vanity Fair magazine late yesterday afternoon, and it was published this morning on the On3 website. Kiffin sat down and had a conversation about those comments that he gave to Vanity Fair. And he said the following: I really apologize if anybody at Ole Miss or in Mississippi was offended by that. In a 4-hour interview, I was asked a lot of questions on a lot of things, and Ole Miss has been wonderful to me and my family. I was asked questions about the differences in recruiting, and I said a narrative that we battled there from some out-of-state black parents and grandparents was not wanting their kid to move to Mississippi. That's a narrative that coaches have been fighting forever. It wasn't calculated by bringing it up, end of quote.
Well, it's his word against what most people believe and why, or some people believe, and why he actually brought that up and if it was calculated. And that's why I asked the question about I did. Was it just him just being so socially awkward in interview type settings and we've seen him, or was it calculated and maybe just a combination of both? But knew what he was doing and had a chance to go and ask the writer to take it out, but chose not to do so. I'm not saying what he did was factually wrong. Do I believe that there have been concerns from potential transfers, high school athletes? Yeah. But I'm sure that there's been other concerns that have been brought up at other universities about things that have happened in the past. How do you think the conversations went with Brian Kelly after the horrible incident that involved the guy filming practice at Notre Dame and trying to talk to those parents? Of course, a lot of people, place blame with him. Point being, there's a checkered past, and there's a past not only to all of us individually, but for institutions around the country. And we've gone through a lot as a country that you could bring up. I just felt like Lane Kiffin could have left this out because he obviously knew the effect that it was going to have. When you say, hey, I don't want this to come out wrong, if somebody's saying that to you, you're expecting them to probably say something critical.
So writer Chris Smith from Vanity Fair, he noted on the Feinbaum show yesterday, the quote obtained regarding recruiting problems at Ole Miss was offered up independently by Kiffin. Smith said he never directly asked Kiffin about that. Here's what Chris Smith said exactly on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday.
He took it in a direction that I didn't expect. I wish it was some genius question that I'd asked him, but he volunteered that idea, that couple of sentences, I don't know how many it is, about grandparents sitting in the office talking about, they're not going to let their kid go to Oxford, Mississippi. And I heard him loud and clear. I knew what he was saying. The next day, he seemed to realize that this was going to be inflammatory. And, after practice that day, I was in his office again, and that's when he added the part about, oh, I don't want this to sound like a shot at Ole Miss. But then he told the same anecdote all over again about, losing out on recruits at Ole Miss because of, he didn't use the words the racial history, but that's essentially what he was saying. And there's, as you say, been an enormous amount of chatter today about the relative racial profiles and histories of Louisiana and Mississippi and all of that, and that's very much worth discussing. But what's really fascinating to me was not so much the facts, which are important, as Kiffin's willingness to go there, to say it publicly, and, clearly indicates that that's an angle he intends to sell to recruits.
There you go.
It's just amazing to think that even based on his so-called apology, or wanted to clarify, wanted to make sure that he did not do anything intentional to offend anyone in the state of Mississippi by those comments in Vanity Fair. And he says that he was asked 4 hours of questions, and the question came up about recruiting, and I guess the pitfalls of recruiting at a place like Ole Miss. Meanwhile, you just heard what the writer said.
Well, a guy that spent 4 hours that asked him these questions, and they have conversations that never made it to print, that we're not even seeing in this story, but goes out of his way to include in a visit on national television with Paul Feinbaum of the SEC television network, that he believes that it was calculated, and Lane Kiffin is obviously going to use this moving forward in recruiting against Ole Miss.
Correct.
Not to talk show hosts that have an axe to grind.
I want to go back 1 year. Oxford, Mississippi, a horrible place to raise a family, horrible place to bring your family, put in schools, live there around campus. This is what Lane Kiffin said 1 year ago about Oxford, Mississippi.
It's been an amazing experience, and I just have so much appreciation. I'm not saying it's coming to head coach. I don't give you coach speak. The people of Oxford, and then when you lose your parents and you see how they are and how they help take care of them towards the end, or how much they really cared about them, it opened my eyes to a totally different way. It's basically, I went to Oxford, had this view. Then I got kids there, so then I had a different view as a parent there, and how awesome a community is to raise your kids in and to have them go to college and high school around these families and everybody take care of everybody. Then you see your parents at the end and lose your parents, one kind of expected, one unexpected, and to see how the community is around that, I owe so much to Oxford and the people there. It's just been awesome.
God, I'm glad you don't owe me anything.
So there you go. Lane Kiffin, just 1 year ago, talking about how incredible Oxford, Mississippi was.
Until he remembered what's so horrible about Oxford.
Yes.
And its people.
Yes.
205-834-9450. Someone chiming in on the text line. Someone let Sark know that you can't weave a basket trunk. We have a winner.
Oh, wow.
Touche with a capital T. Then we got a break, don't we? Yeah. Let's break on that one.
Yeah, let's do that.
Three-man front. We continue live from Social Talking.
You know, one. It's loud.
51, three-man front. We continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood in the Taco Terrace. Landrum, Pat, Molly running things. Conrad is somewhere. Hope everyone's doing well. A lot of responses to Lane Kiffin's comments yesterday. Lane Kiffin's comments later on. Then Sark's comments today. We got John Summerall, new Florida coach, having some fun with some tweets about basket weaving.
How about this? Craig Stevenson, who's a longtime reporter for AL.com in the sports department, he tweeted out the following. He said, reporter to Joe Namath, what did you major in at Alabama? Basket weaving? ? Namath to reporter, no, journalism. It was easier. That's a great line.
That is a great line.
Yeah.
Apparently Conrad, just judging by the looks of him, went to Paris Island and then headed here.
Apparently so.
Got a haircut.
Why did it take him like almost an hour to come down Valley Avenue?
I don't know. Does Faye still cut his hair?
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why it's extra clean.
Text coming in. It's different topics. We were talking about the El Camino earlier.
Yeah, because Steve Sarkisian went to El Camino Community College.
The vehicle version of the El Camino, this listener says, is the equivalent of the vehicular hermaphrodite. I rode, there was a guy that worked with my stepdad when I was little. His name was Otis. And Otis had an El Camino. And I got to ride in the back of the El Camino, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever at 7 years old. I don't know if I've seen an El Camino since.
Oh, I've seen them. I promise you, I probably see at least the last couple of years, one or two every 6 months. Seriously. They're still around.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some that are really, really nice that people have taken good care of. Doug chiming in, Alabama, with its civil rights history, still managed to greatly out-recruit minority athletes versus southern states, especially Kiffin, so it might be the coach, Doug says. More text rolling in. 205-834-9450 as the screen is now trying to refresh. And we appreciate all of you texting in, and always entertaining, enlightening texts. Some of them we just cannot read. We try to, though. Colin says, is it just me, or is Texas not honoring 50% transfer credits a bad look? Yeah, I agree. Now, I also agree that a lot of these kids, they could care less about the whole credits and okay, so you're taking away the credits that were basically given to me at the previous place that I probably got virtually.
We do have a Tiger Woods update. TMZ is reporting that the Martin County Circuit Court in Florida on Tuesday, the judge granted the state's request to subpoena records of Tiger's meds as part of their DUI investigation into Tiger Woods. The judge gave prosecutors permission to access the prescription records on file at Lewis Pharmacy in Palm Beach following his arrest in Florida earlier this year. So this thing is not
No, I don't think
going
it's
away.
over. And I think the person who might be the most nervous in this case might be the physician who wrote the prescription. If this leads anywhere, and maybe it doesn't. Three-man front, we continue.